أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
Congratulations everyone, welcome to today. It is the 15th of Sha'ban, so we're halfway through this holy month, and it is the birthday of the Imam of our time, Imam al-Zaman, AjAllah Ta'ala Faraja Sharif. So today is a really happy occasion, so inshallah we're all happy. I know we're in isolation, but inshallah we're still happy. The family maybe do something together, celebrate together, because it is a really, really happy occasion today. And before anyone gets the wrong idea, I'm not wearing black because I'm sad, but rather it's the only Imam Mahdi t-shirt that I have, so you can see that. So you remember that every lecture we're going to start by reading Dua al-Faraj, and that was to have the presence and the blessing of the Imam of our time, Ajalla Ta'ala Faraja Sharif. But today, it's an even more special occasion because it's his birthday. So inshallah, from at home, while I'm reading the dua, please read with me, and let's make this like a joint thing. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل.
So today's topic is the love of ahlulbayt, which if you remember from our Divine Intellectual Soul lecture, is one of the 4 steps that we have to actualizing our Divine Intellectual Soul. So before we even start today's topic, in the Divine Intellectual Soul we mentioned a topic, and we just briefly mentioned it, and it's a really hard concept, and a lot of people have asked questions about this topic. And what we did was we tried doing a little question and answer session to answer questions about this topic, but we feel like we didn't do that topic justice in the Q&A, and we may have said things that aren't exactly like what we wanted to get the message across. I don't think we said everything clearly. So what we've done is, the beginning of this lecture, we're going to talk about this topic, and the topic itself is the roles of barzakh and hellfire, and the difference between these two. And so what's interesting is this topic actually nicely fits in today's lecture, so it's not too bad, it's not quite a big diversion. But what we're going to do is discuss to you what barzakh actually is and clarify any misconceptions. So take what we're going to say today as what we want you guys to remember, and ignore anything you've heard in the past, any confusion and stuff like that. So take what we say today as what we mean by barzakh and by the role of hellfire. So to make this a bit more understandable, because it's a pretty hefty concept, it's in alim al-ghayb, so it's after this world, it's after we die. So it's stuff that are in the unknown at the moment. So to make it more understandable, we're going to give the example of the movie Avatar. If you haven't seen the movie, it's not too important. Just I'll try making the example as context light as possible. So the movie Avatar, it's about human beings trying to go to this other planet called Pandora. So it looks like this, quite beautiful, but this planet doesn't have any oxygen. So these scientists, what they've came up with a strategy to be able to interact in this world without oxygen. And so they have a lab, their lab has oxygen in it, and inside this lab, what they have tried doing is making themselves bodies that they call avatars. When we go online, we always use an avatar to represent who we are. So that what they've done is they made these avatar bodies that they can put their mind into, and what that body will allow them to do is interact with that world and not die, because that body doesn't require oxygen. And the body itself looks like the native people of the land. So there are native people that live there who don't look pretty, they don't look human. But the avatars they make look like them as well, so that they can interact with them too. So let's get back to the scientists themselves. Let's say that we are now just a normal person and we've walked into the lab. We want to explore this world as well. What we can do is, we can join the scientists and help them and learn from them how to make our own avatar, so that we can also explore this beautiful place, because it's amazing. And then if we do explore this place, we can actually get outside and talk to natives, interact with natives, and learn from natives so many things that we don't know yet. Alternatively, there's a group of people that are inside the lab that are just partying. They're living the good life inside the lab. They can party all day. There's no worries, no concerns. So they decide to just spend all their time partying and not with the scientists building their body. And as we know, in this world, nothing lasts forever. And so unfortunately, the oxygen in the lab starts running out. Now, what options do we have? If we don't have oxygen, we die, right? And so the scientists, it's pretty easy for them. They've made their avatars. Their avatars are fully functional. All they do is hop into the avatar, and they're set. They can live their entire life in the avatar body. And so if the problems arise if we didn't spend this time creating our avatar. Let's say maybe our avatar wasn't fully completed. It was it's still in it's not a fully perfected form. And so it's a bit more painful or a bit more difficult to maneuver in this new body. Alternatively, we could have formed it completely wrong. We could have made it into something that can't survive in this new environment, or alternatively something that's just completely not the intended avatar. And the last thing is, we could maybe build our avatar, but the problem is that we can't actually move it. So we're stuck pretty much inside a body that's alive, but it's not functional at all. So that's what could happen if we don't fully develop our avatar. But what about those people that were partying? What's going to happen to them? Are they going to die? Well, they could, except that the scientists and the native people are going to try helping them. And what they're going to do is they're going to drag their bodies, chuck them by force, chuck them into these machines, and try getting them to get into an avatar that works. But this process is going to take a while because they haven't assimilated with their avatar. Because in the movie, what they have to do is they have to do some tests with the new body so they can have this connectivity with it. So these people, it's going to take a long time for them to get this connectivity. It's going to take a long time for them to be able to control the body and stuff like that. And it's going to be quite painful, being forcefully dragged and stuff like that. And so hopefully you can start drawing these parallels between the roles of barzakh and hell and what their role is. So barzakh is that period of time where we're being dragged first of all, and then being put into these bodies. And if you remember in our potentiality actuality lecture, we said that in this world, who we are, what we have to do to when we're moving on from this world to the hereafter is cut those ties that we have from this to the dunya so that we can move on. And that's what barzakh is. It's the time it takes, or the period of we're not going to say time, but that period or stage where we're doing that detachment. And obviously it's going to be painful, as we said in the last lectures, but it's going to be painful in this example in that you're being forcefully dragged because you can't do it on your own, and then you're being forced to go into this body. And the less compatibility we have, the longer we're going to take in this stage, because the longer we have to do to assimilate into this new form. And so that's why some people will take longer in barzakh than other people. The scientists don't need any time in barzakh. They can just move from one step to the other. As for hellfire, it's the example of hellfire is what we said before, where you do have the body now, but you can't control it, and so you're just stuck in a body that can't function at all. And you're exposed now to this new planet. The problem is, on this planet, there are all these different things that can harm you, all these creatures and stuff. But what's nice about this planet is that it will continuously regenerate you. It doesn't regenerate you to anything better than what you were previously. It's not healing you, but it just keeps you alive. And so what happens to you is you're constantly in danger and in pain, but you don't die. You're just in that continuous loop forever. And that's what hellfire is. We aren't able to control. We weren't able to fully actualize in this world, and so cannot. As a consequence of that, we'll have to go to hellfire, where we can't die, and we're continuously in pain and pain and pain. It's a consequence of partying too much. And that's what the role of hellfire is, and that's what barzakh is. Barzakh is that time in between. So hopefully that clarifies. So heaven in this example would be to be able to fully function in this new beautiful land, and to be able to look at the beautiful things in it, interact with the beautiful things, and enjoy ourselves there. And also in the movie there was an interesting concept whereby there were these interesting like bird-like creatures, and what the native people would do is they would connect with them and grow stronger through that connection. And so it's like us in heaven as well. We'll be able to find people in heaven that are the perfect match for us, and we'll be able to grow stronger with them there. But the most important thing is that we will be the closest we can to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we'll not understand His true greatness and His love. And so that is the role of heaven as well. So that's a whole overview of the hereafter for anyone who wants to know. And hopefully through the example of Avatar it sort of makes sense. The question here is, who are the scientists? Who are these people that were, developing the perfect avatar, and that you could draw inspiration from to understand how to make this avatar? The answer is the people that have become perfected humans, and the people that are teaching us. And who are they? Well, the prophets and the ahlulbayt. And so that's how we transition today's topic, the love of ahlulbayt. Hopefully this example can show you how important it is for us to learn from the ahlulbayt and to try being closer to them. Because only then can we develop our avatar, can we fully actualize ourselves, so that we can survive in the hereafter. Not survive as in die, but as in be able to reach heaven and be who we were meant to be. But that's now the aspect of Ahlul Bayt from today's lecture. But the topic is loving Ahlul Bayt, not just being with Ahlul Bayt or hanging out with Ahlul Bayt, it's loving Ahlul Bayt. So what does love have to do with it, and what is love itself? So let's explore this at the beginning of the lecture. We'll look at what love is. So love can come in different forms. It can be, marital sort of love, maternal love, so like a mother and a father loving their child. It could be loving food, quite simply. And it could be loving yourself. That notion that we talked about in last lecture, that false notion that those arrogant people have, the loving yourself sort of agenda these days, that's all wrong, and we discussed that last lecture, how that's just egotistical and not what we're on about. But they're all different forms of love. But since they're all different, it's really hard to define what love is, because it can come in different forms. If you remember last lecture, we talked about how we have the love that comes from the animalistic soul, and then there's also love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is separate, it's a different thing, which shows you there are different types of love. So, to understand what love really is as a holistic concept, we can sort of look at the symptoms of love, because there are some specific symptoms that all the different types of love share. The first symptom is you're happy when the person you love is happy. So we're going to look at love more like love of someone, not food or something like that, because you can't get a response from food. But when that person that you love is happy, like let's say your parents, when they're happy, you're usually happy. When you've done an action that makes them happy and they're like, we're proud of you, usually you get that warm feeling inside of you. So that's being happy when they're happy. Alternatively, you're sad when they're sad. It's a similar concept. Another thing is, you sort of wait for the time that you're with them. An example of this is, when we're children and your parents like, oh, your friend's coming to your house on Friday, and it's Monday, for example. You can't wait. And in fact, you're like, 4 days left, 3 days left, 2 days left, 1 day left. And on the morning, you're like, I can't wait. I want school to be over so I can meet my friend. That anticipation comes with really strong love as well. And that links to the point of impatience to see them and trying to spend time with them. So you're like impatient till you can see them again. So these are some symptoms of love. The last one is a reduction of self-driven desires. For example, eating and sleeping. And we see this in the more extreme cases of love. If you've read any Shakespeare or those love poetry sort of people of the Renaissance, all the people that are narrating the poem, they're like, I can't even sleep. Just thinking about you is just, my mind can't think of anything else. And you start not eating, not sleeping enough, and stuff like that. And that actually is a symptom of love. It's actually a real thing. It's not just Shakespearean nonsense. And so all these symptoms of love actually bring us nicely to a concept that psychology has brought up. Psychology has sort of tried defining what love is through something called the psychology of attraction. And the psychology of attraction is like a wheel, which is like a continuous cycle that we go through if we're attached to something or attracted to something. And it's split up into 3 parts. The first one is similarity, the second one is proximity, and the last one is familiarity. So these 3, we're going to actually explore each of them individually and see how they can relate to Ahlul Bayt and how we can link it to Ahlul Bayt. And as we said, you know the symptoms of love, right? What we should do, inshallah, is if we do love them, inshallah, we can have those symptoms as well. We can confirm that we love them if we start displaying those symptoms. We can't wait for the next time Muharram comes so we can have that immersion in the story of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, or things like that. We want to be able to show these symptoms with Ahlul Bayt because that will show that we do love them. So let's move on to the first of the 3 things in this cycle of psychology. The first one is similarity. So what we want to do is definitely be similar to them, because if we're similar to the scientists, we can learn from the scientists and make a correct avatar. But when becoming similar to someone, when trying to love someone else, we try to replicate their actions and to make what they do in their lives like what we do. So reduce the differences between us. And a really nice example of this is a mirror. What we want to be doing is to try mirroring everything they do and become mirror images of that Ahlul Bayt. I know we can't probably reach their level, but we can certainly try getting somewhere nearer to their level. So how we can do this is, look at their stories, look at the hadith about them, and learn the lessons from these hadith. Find the morals that they were trying to teach us and implement them in our lives. Not just read them and go, wow, that's so beautiful, they're such amazing people, move on. No. Actually, learn from their stories, learn from the situations that they're in, and when we're in any situation, just ask yourself, what would they have done? And try acting like that. So that's the first one, similarity. The second one is proximity. And yes, we aren't physically near any of the imams. Well, we might be near Imam Zaman Sharif, since we don't know where he is, and he could be anywhere, anytime, and we might have met him and we don't know. But in terms of the other Ahlul Bayt, they're all in the Middle East. Way too far from us, right? Surely that means we can't be in proximity with them. But the answer to that is that there are alternative methods. There are alternative ways to get close to them. And the fact is that they actually gave us these methods. They gave us a method for us to be able to greet them and for them to greet us back. And those 3 methods really, there are many more. All the ad'iyah they gave us do this, but specifically the ziyarat that they have, and like the ziyarat of the days, and their we'll explain what those are later. Dua al-Ahd and Ziyarat Ashura or Ziyarat Warith. So the du'as of the days, if you haven't read them before, the Ahlul Bayt have dedicated each of the days to one or more of the Ahlul Bayt. And it's their day. Allah SWT has made it their day. And so what we do is we read this dua to connect in our daily life with them. And so we can actually visit them. Another one is Dua al-Ahd, which is definitely to get us closer to Imam of our time, Ajallah Ta'ala Farajah Sharif. And the last one is Ziyarat Warith, which is the Ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And in the Ziyarah, it legit says that we're trying to get closer to the Imam. And so I'm going to show you examples of, in each of these, how they actually make us linked. This isn't actually Ziyarat Warith, and in the Ziyarah it literally says, إِنِّي أَتَغَرَّبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَإِلَى رَسُولِهِ وَإِلَى أَمِيرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَإِلَى فَاطِمَةَ وَإِلَى الْحَسَنِ وَإِلَيْكَ بِمُوَالَاتِكَ. So we're literally telling him, I am getting closer to you. The question here is, why Imam Hussein specifically? Why is it in Ziyarat Imam Hussein, we always say we put focus on this, and why do we put focus on Imam Hussein? And the answer to that is, he's like a key. He's a key to allow us to reach the love of Ahlul Bayt. Because the story of Imam Hussein was such an emotional one, we can connect to it through our animalistic soul rather than just our divine intellectual soul. So what it does is it gives us, as we said last lecture, we use normal love, we need to experience normal love to reach the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We use the love of Imam Hussein and just the story to be able to reach the love of Ahlul Bayt that comes from that other love that's not just animalistic love. So that's why Imam Hussein is such an important, he's like that facilitator to get us to the love of Ahlul Bayt. And that's why we always have a lot of focus on it, Imam Hussein, just because of his role. And that's why a lot of the people say that, the Shia only focus on Imam Hussein, they only love Imam Hussein more than the other Imams. And that's not true. It's just that his role It allows us to connect to him the most in our early stages. However, all the Ahlul Bayt are equally as good, and each of them had a role, and we'll try exploring that later in the lecture, inshallah. Ziyarat Warith also has this connection with Imam Mahdi Ajullah Ta'ala Fajr Sharif. In fact, we even say in the dua that we want to be his supporters, and even if we're dead when he comes back, may you please, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, revive us. Because the problem is, a lot of what we should be afraid of is that when the Imam comes, we won't be able to know who he is because we don't have this love for him. We can't recognize who he is because we don't know his characteristics and stuff like that. And that's a problem because it means we're one of those people that might oppose the Imam. And that's really bad. So we should try striving for this love so we can see him. And even if we die before that, be revived and see him then. So these are all the benefits of these adayah. The last part was familiarity. And it's, just get to know who the Ahlul Bayt are and what their universal role was. But to understand what their universal role actually is, sorry about that, we need to start from the beginning. And what we mean by the beginning is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human being and he sent us to this earth to take the test, as we said in the last lecture. And our point of our creation is to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and become this perfect human being that can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's taken us 200,000 years of humanity and 124,000 prophets till something happened. And that something is for the complete guidebook to the, it's like a survival book for this dunya, the complete guidebook to come down. The question here that we should ask is, why did it take that long? Why did it take 200,000 years of humanity and 124,000 prophets till the Quran could come down? Why did it take that long? Why couldn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just give it to Adam and his children and be like, great, so you guys can use it straight away? And the answer is, it wasn't a problem with the Quran or anything like that. It was a problem with us. Human beings weren't developed enough, didn't have the capacity to appreciate the Quran in its entirety. And that's why we had prophets, because the prophets could give the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that was like applicable for that time and age. And what's interesting is a lot of the time we think all prophets did was just preach for the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is true, they did that, but that's not all they did. They did teach the people at the time important scientific things that they needed to develop. For example, Nabi Nuh alayhi salam built a huge boat, taught everyone about buoyancy. Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam created those silos that they could house the grain in, taught us how to survive in drought and how to store food. See, the Anbiya in their time had a specific role to give a certain amount of information and to also guide people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But also, another thing was that the prophets themselves could not handle the full Quran. The Quran itself is a very heavy thing, and only one person could handle it. So the prophets were able to help the people at their time to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they themselves couldn't get the full density of the Quran, and no one can except one person. And that person is the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. If you remember Surah Al-Inshirah, it says, أَلَمْ نَشْرَحْ لَكَ صَدْرَكَ وَوَضَعْنَا عَنْكَ وِزْرَكَ الَّذِي أَنْقَضَ ظَهْرَكَ وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. That's talking about how when the Prophet got the full Quran, only he had the capacity to handle the entire Quran and send the message to the people. So it's only when we were developed enough that this message could come down. And so when people were at that right level of advancement and understanding. So what we can see here is all the prophets acted as practical applications of the guidebook. They were that's what their role in their time is. But now that we have the full guidebook and the survival book, we should definitely, now that we have, the full guidebook, are we meant to understand it by ourselves? Is that really what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done? Has he just given us the Quran and we have to read it? Because if you read the Quran by yourself without any tafsir, it's hard. There's a lot of things that we find difficult to understand by ourselves. We obviously need to look at someone who does know how to read the Quran and does understand the Quran for us to be able to understand it and use it as the guidebook that it was meant to be. And so obviously there must be, those graduates or people that are like, experts in like the guidebook, and so they can help us. And those experts are Ahlul Bayt, and we'll inshallah see it. And the Prophet, peace be upon him. So all the Imams and Ahlul Bayt in general. So inshallah, let's see the journey of Ahlul Bayt and their roles so we can understand what we have to do now. So the first was the Prophet, peace be upon him. And what the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he came, he just illuminated everything. He finished the message. And Shaitan could not even reach the Ummah. So what he did was the Shaitan was there and he just covered him. He was like, nah, Shaitan, you can't reach the Ummah, because he was that powerful. He was the guardian of the message of Islam. However, unfortunately, when the Prophet passed away, the Shaitan had a time, an opportunity to strike back at the Ummah, which was at the moment still like a newborn child. It was vulnerable. The protection was gone. And here, what the Shaitan tried doing was he tried mixing the good and the falsehood. He tried making people that called themselves Muslims, but they were actually like munafiqeen and bad people, try leading the Ummah and like, not just leading Ummah, just being there. It created voices of confusion. There was so much noise, and the people, the Ummah, just couldn't understand what was going on, and they were being led astray. That was the Shaitan's tactic, to use all this confusion, and he does it today as well. It's a strategy to confuse us, pretty much. It's his on to number one goal, or strategies to confuse us, make so many things that we just don't understand what's going on, and we get lost. So that's what he did, and he tried attacking the Quran directly. So obviously, when someone is sick or something is sick, we need someone to do the healing, and that was the first stage of Ahlul Bayt's plan. And I'm going to actually describe the plan they had in phases. I'm going to say phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Because you could see that the roles of Ahlul Bayt came in steps. So the first phase was the duo of Fatima alayhi salam and Imam Ali alayhi salam. They were the ones that had to defend the Ummah and remove the Shaitan from the Ummah. So what they did was, as you know, if we have someone who's really sick and has a terminal illness, we need a surgeon. So that's where Lady Fatima alayhi salam came in. She acted as the surgeon to fix the sick Ummah. What she did was, she cut the Ummah open by stating the painful truth. She cut through the deception. Then she revealed, as a surgeon reveals the insides of someone, she revealed the corruption that existed within the Ummah. And then she prescribed the method that can save the Ummah. She gave that little method at the end. So she did what a surgeon does. She made the incision, she showed the problem, and she gave the medicine to fix it. But when we're in a hospital, a lot of the time, we have the surgery, but we have a bit of time after that we have to stay inside the hospital, and we have to have nurses that care for us. It's called the recovery stage. And that was the role of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was the one that nursed the Ummah back to good health. He made sure that the Ummah was recovering properly after the surgery. So what he did was he taught the Quran's message by him being the walking Quran. We've heard this before. Imam Ali is the walking Quran. And that's because he showed the Ummah how someone has to act. What he did was he sought justice and executed mercy. And that's why we hear all these stories about him defending the weak, helping the poor, and stuff like that. He was very patient. And the last thing was he became its carer by being its leader. And that's why he became a Khalifa. And it's why we think he should have been the first Khalifa, because we needed that care from the get-go. And we didn't get it, unfortunately. So that is the role of these two. The beginning of the phase. That's phase 1. However, if you thought the Shaitan would let the Ummah go, we'd be mistaken. Because the powers of evil were still there, and they were growing. In the Quran, in Surah 23, Ayah 24, I think it's Surah Al-Qasas, correct me if I'm wrong, but Allah SWT says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, فَقَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَوْمِهِ مَا هَذَا إِلَّا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُرِيدُ أَنْ يَتَفَضَّلَ عَلَيْكُمْ وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَأَنزَلَ الْمَلَائِكَةَ مَا سَمِعْنَا بِهَذَا فِي آبَائِنَا الْأَوَّلِينَ. So it's people that go, the Ahlul Bayt aren't special, they're just people like us. We should try overruling them, take power, because we think we're superior. They were arrogant. And guess who the biggest and the start of this opposition was? Muawiyah himself. Muawiyah was one person that really was at the head of the opposition for the Ahlul Bayt. He thought the old culture of the Arabs worked for him in his favor. It gave him power. And so why change it? Why should we let Islam change it? And so what he did is he wanted to remove the obstacles in path, which were Imam Ali alayhi salam. And then what he wanted to do was return people back that sort of tribal thinking so that he could regain power. So what happened was, Muawiyah came along, and Imam Ali was his opposition. So what he wanted to do was remove his opposition, and that's why he assassinated Imam Ali alayhi salam. He sent for Imam Ali to be killed. But guess what? If he thought that was the end, he was mistaken. Because once Imam Ali was gone, his descendants took over. It was the time for his children to step up and start phase 2. And so what is phase 2? So we'll start with Imam Hassan, because he is the beginning of phase 2. So what Imam Hassan did was that he needed to straight away show everyone, get rid of this confusion. He had to show everyone that what was good and who was bad. So he had to show the sides. He had to make it clear. And he did this through the treaty. A lot of time people criticize Imam Hassan for this treaty. And I don't understand why. Because a lot of people, I think they don't understand why Imam Hassan did this treaty. They think it was a sign of weakness. But it wasn't. In fact, Imam Hussein said he was completely supporting his brother and all the decisions he made. Because that was the role of Imam Hassan. He was the one that started the plan. He planned for everything. And you'll see how soon. So if you just know, before we talk about what Imam Hassan's conditions were in the treaty, we've chosen a image of a blank piece of paper with a seal, and that's exactly what Muawiyah sent to Imam Hassan. He sent a paper that was blank with a seal, and he was like, you write the conditions, because guess what, I'm not even going to follow them. This shows how Muawiyah from the get-go had the mentality that he didn't care what Imam Hassan said. He was just doing this for formalities and try, to quiet down the Shia, which shows how corrupt he is. But anyway, let's move back to what Imam Hassan said. The first condition he asked was for Muawiyah not to hurt the Shia, which was really important at the time. Imam Hassan was making sure that the people that were following ahlulbayt survive, because if they all died out, the message would go away, because no one would be there to carry it. So obviously he had to protect the Shia. The second thing was to give, the second condition was to give the Khilafah to Imam Hussein alayhi salam after him. Why that was important is because once the treaty was broken, it showed that Muawiyah was bad. That condition, Imam Hassan knew that Muawiyah would not accept the second condition. He'd break it. And so that would definitely show who was good and who was bad. However, so after this treaty, by the way, even after, saying that there's a peace treaty, we're not going to fight anymore, Muawiyah still tried to assassinate Imam Hassan multiple times. And in the final time, only through getting to his wife, did he finally murder the Imam alayhi salam. So now Muawiyah, the big dog, he was by himself. He had a 20-year rule, and what he did was he tried weakening the Shia. He changed the demographic of the Shia places. What he'd do is he'd put foreigners in these places and dilute the Shia community so that they'd be weak because they don't have the strength in numbers. He also focused on tribal sort of living, and he killed the Imam. So he really tried hitting the Shia hard. And after him, he gave the succession to Yazid. Which is, his father was smart. Yazid was just dumb in general. Like if we thought, that, things can get worse, they could, because this guy had no political smartness. He was just dumb outright and center. And he just instantly, because he became the successor, the treaty was broken. And here, the role of Imam Hussein came into play. What he had to do was continue his brother's plan. Not do a different plan, he was continuing his brother's plan. Because what he had to do was he had to have, Karabakh had to happen after the treaty was broken to highlight the difference and make it clear who was right and who was wrong. What he had to do was he had to leave an emotional significance on the ummah to make it clear who was right and who was wrong. And what better way to show, make it clear who's right and wrong and have an emotional impact than the event of Karbala. Because even today we remember it because it was that strong. Why they had to make it so emotional is because at the time, the people were just using the animalistic soul only. And so they had to get through the animalistic soul, get through to their hearts, to their emotions, and reach them. And what's interesting is, in the revolution that Imam Hussein created through this event, it showed that you didn't have to be an Arab to be a good guy. He had people from all different backgrounds in Karbala. There were slaves, so he destroyed social status. He destroyed age, he destroyed race, education levels. All that was gone. He showed that all these people were equal. And that showed another message that's really important as well. So that's when the events of Karbala took place, and he definitely highlighted what was true and what was not. Next came the role of Zainab alayhi salam. And what she had to do was she had three main roles. And what she was like the media of that debate. What she did was she ensured that the events of Karbala were correctly recalled and kept alive. She also protected Imam Sajjad, because at the time Imam Sajjad was sick. By the way, 100% planned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only reason that the Imamah continued was because he was sick. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually had made him sick so that he would survive and the Imam would continue. It's beautiful when you really look at it in that way. And the last thing was she was the one that spread the story. She was the media outlet for everyone. So she made sure that the message continued. And lastly came the role of Imam Sajjad, the last person of phase 2. And the role of Imam Sajjad was setting up the counter-rising. So what happened was, at the moment, the Ummah was corrupted. Imam Ali and Fatima Zahra, it made a severing and tried healing it. The next role was of phase 2 was to differentiate what was good and bad. But at the moment, it looks like the big guys were on top, the bad guys were on top. Next was the revolution, where the Ahlul Bayt would make the comeback and show the truth was stronger than the falsehood. And so that's what Imam Sajjad did. He started the counter-rising, the revolution. And he did this in 3 ways. He started an emotional revolution with the people. He did this through the Majalis of Imam Hussein. He showed people how they can connect to Ahlul Bayt through their emotions. He did it through a spiritual revolution. We have his Sahifa Sajjadiyah, his Ad'iyah, would allow us to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better. And his last thing was the knowledge revolution. And by knowledge revolution, if you haven't heard this before, but what Imam Sajjad used to do was buy slaves or of other people, or just slaves in general, teach them the ways of the Ahlul Bayt, and then release them for them to act as teachers. It was really nice how he not only freed them, but gave them a job and a purpose to do that was beneficial to them. It's really amazing what the Ahlul Bayt did and how we can learn from that. So now let's just summarize phase 2. We had the planner, the executor of the plan, the explainer to make people understand what the plan actually was, and the revolutionary. Now let's move on to phase 3. Before we get to phase 3, let's just sort of give an example of how everything's looking at the moment. So at the moment, at the beginning, there was a forest. The Prophet brought all this beautiful knowledge, and he created a beautiful forest, beautiful and dense. But the shaitan came after the Prophet was gone, after the caretaker of the forest was gone. The shaitan came and he burned it to crisp. What was left is this. After a fire, the ashes leave wake to a fertile land, and that land is now ready to be sown. And now comes the role of the next phase. It is to plant in the land, and we start with the planter himself, Imam Baqir alayhi salam. That was his role. His role was to plant the seeds of knowledge in this fertile land and re-establish Islamic teaching. He also introduced new ways to interpret and analyze the things of the world, scientifically as well. He brought up a lot of new science, and he brought new thinking into Islam. He was the one that started building universities and things like that. And what was interesting is he not only, it wasn't only to the Shia people. He also did it, he was trying to empower the Muslim Ummah in general. And to show this, a really good story is how he helped in the creation of the Muslim Islamic currency. At the time, they didn't understand how they were going to make a currency that worked, the weight and stuff. And he came along, and he actually gave them the design of the coin and what to inscribe on the coin. And what that did, it actually made the Muslim Ummah more powerful, because it meant that they could have their own currency and didn't have to rely on the Roman currency, which is actually that always relying on someone else's currency is a detriment to the nation. So he made the Islamic Ummah more powerful and actually introduced it to its golden age, which is really interesting, because in the time of Imam Baqir and you see Imam Sadiq, the Ummah had its golden age. Next up was Imam Sadiq, and he continued what his father did. He was the expander of the knowledge. He pushed it out. He expanded so many different universities. It was in his time that the fruit of the trees really came to the trees that the Imam Baqir planted gave fruit. And at this time, what was interesting was the political situation in the Muslim Ummah was really shaky. It was a transition between the Umayyads to the Abbasids. And so Imam Baqir and Sadiq used this weakness in the politics as an advantage. And they seized that opportunity. It was the fertile time to expand the Ahlul Bayt's knowledge. And that's what they did. That was their role. But unfortunately, who came next was Al-Mansur. And he was the strong Abbasi Khalifa who was a bully to the Shia. He oppressed them so badly. And so that's when the next, the last person of phase 3 came to play. It was Imam Kadhim. And he also taught us, like his grandfather and father, but he taught us something else. He taught us how to act while in an oppressed state. He was the dark horse of the ahlulbayt. Someone that no one realized was, everyone thought was weak, but he was super strong. And today we can really relate to Imam Kadhim because we may not feel like we're imprisoned and stuff or oppressed. Theoretically, we're not. But we are living in a country where the rulers don't have the same ideology as us, and we're being forced to accept ideologies that aren't Islamically acceptable. And so we should learn from Imam Kadhim how he acted so we can learn how to interact with society today and how we're meant to live. So what he did was he taught people how to be a teacher from the inside. He would teach people even in his oppressed state. He was a passive aggressor. And by passive aggressor, we mean that he would even by being so perfect and so good, he made his opponents or opposition terrified of him. He was switched between jails because the jailers were like, we can't have him in our place anymore. He's just too powerful. We feel like if he makes a dua on us, we will die instantaneously. And let's be honest, they were true. They realized through his actions and through the beauty of his supplications how powerful he was. So that's how to be passively aggressive, and we can learn from that too. The last thing is like the role of Imam Hussein. He had to reach into the emotional part of people, and that's what he did. In his oppressed state, we can now relate to him. He had that emotional impact on everyone. So in summary, we had someone who planted the seeds, then someone who he bared fruit from the trees, and the last person taught us how to live in all conditions and how to learn in all conditions. So we had the teaching spree in all conditions. That was phase 3. And what phase 3 did, it was sort of like a build-up stage. What they were building up, the Ummah here were building up a stronger Shia nation, which was super important because it was a preparation for phase 4. What phase 4 is the preparation for the time of Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Farajah Sharif. So you see, phase 4, it's all just prep for Imam Mahdi his return, his appearance. So first of all was Imam al salam. And you'll see each of these Imams gave us a lesson about what we can learn about our Imam at the moment in his ghaibah. So what Imam Rilla did is he showed that your Imam does not have to be in the same location as you to be your Imam. And we can see this when he went to Iran. And he had so many followers in Medina and Iraq and stuff like that. Yet he was still the Imam, and he could still have his companions teach people there. And so we can learn that we don't need to have our Imam in the direct place with us to be able to have him as our Imam. Also, he did what Imam Sajjad, he expanded what Imam Sajjad did. We can call him the Imam Sajjad 2.0, in that he made the Majalis more prominent, and he would have debates with the atheists, with the Christians, and he taught us how to survive in a political environment, like today. So we can learn a lot from Imam Rida as well. Next up came Imam Jawad alayhi salam, and what he taught us was showing that age doesn't matter, and it's about your maturity. So age is realistically just a number, depending on your intelligence level. And so what we can learn from him is that if you have the aql and you have the ability to comprehend knowledge, then you definitely are capable of becoming someone who can spread that knowledge. He also, what he did was he taught us the concept of wakala, because what he would used to do is he used to have wakils that would teach people. So people that people could go to ask questions and have direct lines to him. And so what that did, it prepared everyone for the time of Imam Zaman Ajallah Ta'ala Farajah Sharif, especially in the Ghaiba as-Sughra, where he only had wakils that people could interact with him through. And so what we learn from him is we don't have to ask our Imam directly for help. We can look at the people that represent the Imam in our day and age. That being said, we should definitely still do du'as directly to Imam. It's really nice to be able to talk to our Imam at that time. Next up came Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. What he showed is that even Imams have the ability to perform miracles. And to give an example of what we mean by this is the story of Zainab al-Kadhaba. And this story, I'll quickly summarize it, but it was this person who said, "Oh, I'm the reincarnation of Zainab alayhi salam, I'm so good." And so the Khalifa she was causing like stirring like problems with the people. So the Khalifa was like, what do we do? I don't know how to handle her. I don't know how to answer her. Let's ask the Imam Hadi alayhi salam. So the Imam was like, alright, if she is Zainab alayhi salam, she should not be afraid to do this. Put her in a pit of hungry lions. So they told her this, and before they were going to put her in, she just confessed. Like, I'm sorry, I'm lying. And she started crying. Please don't make me do this. But the Khalifa was like, oh, this is an opportunity. You know, the Imam suggested this. Alright then, you're also the grandson of the Prophet. You do it. The Imam Hadi was like, sure. So he went into the lion pit, and guess what? Unscathed. These were hungry lions, and he survived. It was a miracle. He showed the people that Ahlul Bayt have this extra power. They're not just ordinary people. They have something else. And it's something that they only have. And so we do need to depend on them. We can't just do everything solo. So we still have to have connection with them, because only they can do stuff. And what that showed us as well is that when the Imam Mahdi comes, we know that he's going to do a lot of miracles. And that's not an exaggeration. He will do them, because Imams have this capacity. The last Imam before Imam Mahdi Sharif was his father, Imam Askar. And what he showed us is that Imam doesn't have to be with you for a long time. Because Imam al-Askari was only with us for 4 years. His Imam was only 4 years. He was, by the way, always with his father Imam Hadi, helping him out. So he did have roles there. But when he was an Imam, it was only 4 years. He did all the preparation work, like the final prep, make sure everything's ready for the birth of Imam Zaman Ajallah Ta'ala Fajr Sharif. He would teach people in secret. He made sure that, because he had to make it everyone safe, because it was a really unstable time, because he knew that the Imam Mahdi would be in danger when he was born, because no one, like especially the powers at the time, don't want a savior to be born. And what he did was he actually wrote a tafsir of the Quran, which was sort of a message to us, the people that were living in the Imam Zaman's time, for us to take responsibility of our own religion, be able to learn independently as well, and learn from the teachings that they gave us. And now we're at the time where it's Imam Mahdi's turn. And in Imam Mahdi's time, he taught us, Imam Mahdi's time, we have to learn to be strong and to be awaiting his time when he comes back and completes Islam fully in his return. So these are all the roles of Ahlul Bayt. So this is the familiarity part of the lecture. So that's the familiarity part of the love. So why is it important to even know them? The answer to that is, sorry, I went backwards. Why it's important to know them is, we can see this in the start. It's what we're going to end on today. Allahumma arifni rasulak. فإن لم تعرفني رسولك لم أعرف حجتك. اللهم عرفني حجتك فإنك إن لم تعرفني حجتك ضللت عن ديني. So it shows how if we don't now know the Imam of our time, we've lost our religion, full stop. It's as simple as that. And so we need to have that connection to them, that love for them, so we don't lose that connection to our Prophet, to Ahlul Bayt, and to the Imam of our time, Ajallah Ta'ala Fajr Sharif, so we can identify when they are giving us signs, like especially the Imam of our time, but also to be able to cling on to this boat of Savior, to be able to learn from these scientists so that we can fully actualize ourselves. And that's why it's one of the 4 things we need to actualize our divine intellectual soul. So how can we not, and another thing we have to introduce is, how can we not love them after all of the sacrifices and things that they've made for us to be here today as Shia Muslims that can actualize their full potential? They've done so much for us, so how can we not love them? We really, really need to take a step back, see where they are in our lives, and how much we actually love them. So that's the end of the lecture segment. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Hopefully that didn't take too much of your time. Sorry if I went a bit over time. But now we can move on to the video segment today. So the videos of today are from The Croods. So if you haven't seen this movie, it's about a prehistoric family who always lived in caves, and then one day, like an earthquake sort of thing happens, and their cave gets destroyed. They're forced out of their comfort zone, out of their normal like caveman sort of life, and have to survive. But they have no clue how to survive. Luckily for them, they meet a guy called Guy. Very ironic, I know. It's very original. But this guy, oh, that's gonna trip me up so badly. This guy, he's like a more developed human being. Like, he has ideas and he knows how to survive. So he helps them through survival, and eventually takes them to a place he promises to take them to, which is tomorrow. So hopefully we'll look through all 3 videos and then we'll discuss it a bit and then we'll end it today, inshallah. The first video is as follows.
She'd go near the cliff,
Sorry.
for the closer she came to the edge, the more she could hear, the more she could see, the more she could feel. Finally, she stood at the very edge. She saw a light. She leaned out to touch it. Then she slipped. And she fell. And she flew. Where did she fly? Tomorrow. Tomorrow. A place with more suns in the sky than you can count.
It would be so bright.
A place not like today or yesterday. A place where things are better.
Tomorrow isn't a place. You can't see it.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is. I've seen it. That's where I'm going.
Okay, so that's the first video. If you haven't got the hints, what we're trying to say is, Guy is like the Prophet, peace be upon him. He's the guide. He's told them that there's this place called tomorrow and the hereafter, and that he's trying to go there. And then he's inviting them to also take this journey. So what he did, he introduced to them, because all their stories before that were quite depressing and dull and all just about death and how life is just about staying in the same spot and not moving forward. But what he taught them was, no, there is something beyond. And he showed them in a beautiful way that they haven't seen before. Like the Prophet, his miracle was the Quran, a book that unlike anything we've seen before, because they're the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so he also brought to them the message in this new way that bewildered the people and bewilder us today. And how long has the Quran been here? It's still bewildering to read it, and how beautiful the words are, how beautiful the messages are in it. And so that's just a bit of a rundown for the first clip. The next clip.
I want to show you something. More suns in the sky than you can count. Every sun that crosses our sky comes to rest up there.
Tomorrow.
That's where we'll be safe.
Alright, there's the second video where he shows them a sign that makes of what's to come. So he gives them like a little a preview of hereafter. They're like tomorrow. He's like, that's where we'll be going. And so that's what the Prophet did. He gave everyone a sign to tell them that there is a hereafter and there is beauty after this life, and this is where I'm going. Come with me. By the way, after the scene, he literally tells them, guys, come with me, and they go, yes. I don't know why it's cut off there, but anyway, good movie. Another thing, I don't know if I made this clear in the lecture, but why is it so important to love them, not just follow them, is that, remember in our Loving Allah lecture, we said how love equals motivation? And so we can only join the scientists if we're driven to join them. And so loving them helps us with that drive. So loving them is super important. And if we remember the cycle in psychology, that 3-step process, if we have familiarity, which we need, we have to be like the scientists, know the scientists, similarity, be like them, copy them, and proximity, be in the same area so we can learn what they're doing, we're going to get love anyway. So that's why loving ahlulbayt is really important. This is the last clip now. If you saw the videos, the dad was sort of like on the side. He's not really a believer. We'll take him as someone who doesn't believe yet. But you'll see his now transition in this last clip, how he does eventually believe in what Guy tells him, tries thinking for himself, and you'll see it.
Coming! How do I get across? I gotta think. What would Guy do? What would Guy do? What would Guy do? an idea. Run! Yes! Douglas? Hey, I know that guy.
It's not safe here.
I'll tell her. I never got to tell him. If your dad were here, he would tell you to. Wow, you sound just like him. He did it!
He's riding his son. But not very well. Everybody out of the way!
Where's the danger? Who blew their shell?
I love you too!
One, two, three, four, five, 6, and 7. And a half. And 8, 9.
Douglas! Man, you saved him!
Well, a boy's gotta have a pet.
I think that's enough for the video. Alright, so صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
So, in terms of the content today, in terms of content today, the most important feature of the clip that was the last one, and it was Grug's development. Because at the beginning he was someone who didn't believe in everything, and in fact he was someone who had the idea that he only had to protect his family only, and he constricted his entire thinking to his own family, his own personal self. And so when this outsider came, he's like, no, outsiders can't take it. This outsider. And that's what a lot of time we do, and a lot of time people do when they don't understand. When the Prophet first came, all the Quraysh were like, no, we like the tribal system. We don't want outside ideas. And that was the problem. But then once he accepted Ahlul Bayt, and if we do that too, and he actually began to like the guy. We did skip this scene before, but he actually saves them all and sacrificed himself instead, including Guy. So he does save Guy as well, showing that he loves him. And once he got over his own self thing, and he when he was trying to think of an idea, he was like, what would Guy do, what would Guy do, what would I do? And what that shows us isn't that, we should just think about our own ideas. Once we become so similar to Ahlul Bayt, we'll start thinking like them, and we can generate our own ideas that are correct. For example, what we mean by that is, we'll eventually we can reach a stage if we become so similar to them that we can be like them. And what you can see in this clip was, you remember when he was, saving himself, he actually began to save everyone else, all these other animals, not just himself. Which is really nice, because it shows us that once we reach that stage where we love Ahlul Bayt, we can spread the message to not only people that believe in Ahlul Bayt, obviously, but people that don't believe in them, like that tiger and the mice and whatnot. So what that shows us is, through the love of Ahlul Bayt, we can learn to become teachers too, and then we can also spread their message. So that's another thing. And it's also to look past ourselves and, accept the guidance that they give us. So not to be arrogant, like a lot of people who don't believe in God. Not to be arrogant and not believe in the Ahlul Bayt. Look past ourselves and see them as our guides. And see them as people that are more knowledgeable than us. And that can inspire us and teach us. Other than that, I don't think there was much else that we had to discuss in that video. Except that in the end, he expanded his family. He wasn't so constricted on himself. Yeah. Alright, that's it for today. Inshallah, in the description section we have the link. And inshallah, the video section works today, so it's all good. So, salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.